Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Global Grant Workshop. I am recording this just so that folks who aren't able to be here can still benefit from the workshop, and then also from our most recent Rotary recipient, Ryan Lower, who's going to share some of his experience. So really excited to have everyone here. So happy to jump right in. I know we all have busy schedules, so I want to make sure that we have enough time for questions and to go over all of the things we need to go over. By way of introduction, I'm Heidi Bretz. I use she, her pronouns, and I am part of the National Fellowships and Scholar Programs team. And what I do is I am a fellowships advisor focusing specifically on international awards. So helping you all to find sources of funding outside of USC that help you to do really cool things like go to graduate school abroad or research or language learning. You name it, there's probably a fellowship for it. And you have a team of folks here at the university who are ready and waiting to help you find and apply for those opportunities. All right, so while I'm sharing my screen, Ryan, do you want to say hello and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Ryan Lohr. I'm a senior here at USC. I got the Rotary Global Grant this past fall, and I'll be using it to go to grad school somewhere in Europe next year.
Wonderful. All right. So in terms of agenda, we'll start off with a round of intros. So you've met me, you've met Brian. We'll also have a quick definition of national fellowships, which I kind of already touched on. And then we'll talk about the Rotary Global Grant, what it funds, the process for getting involved with that, discussing what makes a strong application, how to connect with a Rotary Club, which is one of the elements that's required of the program. And then finally, next steps, how to get started. So, if you would like to introduce yourself, just share your name, your major. If money were not a consideration, how would you spend your time? Right now, I'm really on a knitting and reading kick, so I would probably do a lot of knitting and reading and maybe travel a bit more. How about you, Ryan?
I'd say probably if money wasn't a consideration, I'd probably play more pickleball. That's like that
Yes.
that that definitely be what I would do.
Awesome. Would anyone else like to say hello? You can also say hi in the chat.
Hello, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I
My
can.
Yay. My name is Layla Lopez. I'm a psychology major, and honestly, if I had the time, I would sleep for like 3 days straight. Like, that's where I'm at right now.
Fair. Oh man, well, I hope you get a chance to this weekend. That's 2 days, but close. Close to 3 days.
I can
All
introduce
right.
myself next.
Yeah.
I'm Jake. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a neuroscience major and a
Mhm.
Spanish minor.
Oh,
Um,
very cool.
I'm pre-med, that's my area of interest. And if money were
Mhm.
not a consideration, I'd probably spend a lot of time playing guitar and hiking,
Mm.
spending a lot of time outside.
Oh, very cool. Great. Thank you. And Cheyenne, did you want to say hello too?
Sure.
You
Hey,
can also say
everyone.
hello in the chat. Okay, there you are.
Uh,
Hello.
I'm Shyam. I'm a junior on the pre-med track, and I
Mhm.
would also have to agree with sleeping. I would sleep for multiple days straight.
Awesome. Well, the Rotary Grant unfortunately doesn't fund sleeping, but once you wake up, it can fund a lot of really cool things afterwards. So what are fellowships? So again, we are talking about national fellowships, which are nationally competitive merit-based awards. So what does that mean? It means it's funding from outside of USC. It's not my money, it's not USC's money, but someone, in this case, the Rotary Club has money they want you to apply for to do cool things like study abroad, graduate school, internships, things like that. And so it's a source of funding that leads to an experience. And when we're talking about competitiveness, it's really all about finding the fellowship that fits you the best, especially for Rotary. Rotary is a very relationships-based organization, and they're really looking for folks that embody those qualities of leadership, community, and paying it forward that Rotary really prides itself on. So really figuring out which fellowship describes what you want to do and who you want to be. And so for competitiveness for the Rotary grant, the pool does tend to be a little bit smaller than some other fellowships. This is a fellowship that is offered basically for like the southeastern half of I don't know what state I'm in, South Carolina. And so the Rotary clubs here have decided to offer this scholarship. And so the people that are going to be applying for the scholarship are from USC, are from the College of Charleston, the Citadel. Those are usually the folks that will be in the pool of applicants. And we do have over 300 different fellowships. So if you're listening to Rotary and you're like, I'm not quite sure if that's the right fit, or if you want to apply for additional opportunities, which we always recommend applying for multiple, just in case, just seeing what happens. Because again, the competitiveness means that they don't have an award for everybody. So it's good to apply for multiple awards, because then you can kind of have different options depending on what hits. And so what is Rotary in particular? So I don't know how many of you have heard of the Rotary Club, Rotary International, but it's a fairly long-standing international community leadership organization. So they have over 1.2 million members from around the globe who are leaders, problem solvers, who want to see a world where people unite and take action to create change in the globe, in their communities, and in themselves. So their mission is to provide service to others, promote integrity, advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. So again, Rotary is all about leadership within your own community, about service, about giving back. A couple of their primary things that they focused on in the past have been providing like funding for Alzheimer's research. They've also been very involved with eradicating polio in a lot of the world. So they have just a lot of focus on service and leadership within communities. So if that sounds like you, please continue to listen. So what is this global grant we're talking about? So Rotary International is an organization at the international level. There's also a national Rotary Club, and then also these Rotary districts, and then within the districts, smaller clubs. So it's an organization with several levels. Where we're talking about today is at the local club level and also the district level. The grant is given out by the District 7770, which is that southeastern half of South Carolina, and each of the clubs that are represented in that district can nominate up to 2 students for this particular opportunity. So what does it support? Rotary supports 1 year of graduate level study abroad with sustainable high impact outcomes in one of 7 areas of focus. This tends to be about the range of $30,000 to $45,000 that is given to you to pursue this graduate study abroad. Usually a lot of places outside of the US, a graduate degree is 1 year. So in many cases, you can get a full degree with the support of the Rotary grant. The 7 areas of focus are peace building and conflict prevention, which Ryan can talk a little bit more, disease prevention and treatment, water, sanitation and hygiene, maternal child health, basic education and literacy, community and economic development, and the environment. So these are the areas that Rotary is looking to support. So if you are planning to apply for Rotary, whatever you're doing through your graduate program, your professional goals, your long-term goals, they should fall into one of these areas of focus. Yeah. So that's what Rotary is. How do you apply for this opportunity? So the application components, there is a paper not really a paper application, but an application that you fill out with a few essay questions that talk about you, your interests, your goals, your motivations, your program, what you're hoping to do. But most importantly, you do need to be sponsored by a local Rotary club. That's something that our team helps with, is connecting you with a local club who will then continue to work with you on your application. And of course, since Rotary is all about relationship building, they'll likely invite you to meetings. They don't require that you join Rotary to participate in this grant. And in fact, you probably shouldn't be a Rotarian of any kind, but they will help you to build those relationships, and ultimately they will select you as like one of their 2 applicants that they're able to put forward to the district level competition. Hopefully that makes sense. So you'll need a program description, application essays, 2 letters of recommendation. We usually recommend one academic, one non-academic, from people who know you really well and can speak to your interests, your goals, your passions, and your fit for Rotary. Official transcripts, budget, and a photo. And then something that I'll probably ask Ryan to talk a little more about is the district interview. So you've created this paper application with all of these essays, all this information. You've connected with a Rotary Club, and then every person who applies for Rotary is expected to come to this in-person district interview. It tends to be in the first week or 2 of August. So definitely mark your calendars for that. That is a requirement, and they have started requiring in person. So plan to be in Columbia for one of those first 2 weekends in August, to be confirmed on the date. But the district interview starts with a reception on Friday night. There are finger foods, and you basically have a chance to talk with the other applicants as well as the people who will be interviewing you the next day. So it's a little professional networking reception. And then so that's usually Friday night. And then on the Saturday, there will be half-hour long interviews. Is it half hour, Ryan? Okay, half-hour long interviews with the committee about your application. They'll ask you more questions. They'll get more in depth with you. And then basically, by like Sunday if you've received the award. So it's once you get to that interview stage, it's a very quick turnaround time, because the people who are making the decisions are those people in the room in the district. It doesn't have to go through multiple levels of selection process, unlike Fulbright and some of these other grants that can take months and months and months and months for you to figure out if you've been awarded it. So this one's pretty instant gratification, which is nice. So Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to you at this point to talk a little bit about your experience with the application, maybe some of the things you learned about yourself, some of the things that you found were challenging, and maybe talk a little bit about that district interview portion. And y'all can feel free to put questions in the chat as well.
Yeah, you guys can put questions in the chat, or you can just ask them like out loud and I'll answer them. I can start with the district interview. So that was the very first weekend in August. It was like August 1st and August 2nd. It's like a 2-day process. So day 1 of that is like the social hour. This time it was at Smoked, if you guys know where that is. Like up on Main Street, kind of by where the hub is. So it was at Smoked, and it was really just like an hour or 2 with all of the board, like all the people who are judging you in the interview the next day, and then also it's all of the sponsors as well. So it was like myself as well as a couple of representatives from my club, and you pretty much just kind of hang out and like walk around, and you talk to all the people who are going to be interviewing you tomorrow. It's pretty low stakes. It's not like people are interviewing you or anything. You're really just like standing around and talking to people for an hour or 2. And then the day after that is when the interviews were. And the interviews it's about 30 minutes. It could be 45 minutes, but you really just sit down in this room with like 5 or 6 of the people who are on the council, and they just ask you all these questions. So the questions range from, who are you? What's your plan? And then, why do you want to do this? What makes you a good candidate? Why Rotary? What about Rotary interests you? And just all of those things. Uh, the way the application process worked was myself and Heidi went to one of the local clubs here around this time. It was in March of this year, sometime in February, March of last year. And I talked to them. they got to know they got to know me, they got to know like what I wanted to do, and then they nominated me, and then from there I was like working back and forth with them to get that application sent in. And so then this whole spring, from like now until I think it's like May, or maybe it's the end of
Yeah.
March or April when the application's due.
April 1.
Um, so April 1st, you're just working back and forth with the Rotary Club to, make your application great. So I was lucky enough to have a very supportive team of people, and actually a bunch of them worked at like a legal office. So they were really good at helping me like refine my application and like make it the best thing. In terms of what I want to do, my pitch was that the conflict and peace building focused area, that's what I was focusing on. And my plan and the plan that you pitch, just to caveat this, the plan that you pitch doesn't have to be exactly what you do, especially when you're, applying for grad school. They understand that it's kind of like a difficult thing to be like, I'm gonna go to this school. Like we had one girl that I applied with, she said she was gonna go to Oxford, but like that's the plan. But don't worry about that turning out exactly, especially when you're doing grad school. Sorry for digressing there, but back to the point, my thing was peace building and conflict. And my plan that I pitched to them was I'm going to study conflict, security, and development, Masters of Arts in Conflict, Security, and Development at King's College of London, in the War Studies department. And the reason I was able to make that work, is because I'm an RTC student here. I'm going to be commissioning into the Marine Corps this spring. And so I was able to really interlay my story about like what I want to do for my career, and how, the Rotary grant and this master's degree will help me achieve what Rotary's goals are within that area of study of peace building and conflict studies. That's pretty much a quick synopsis of the process as well as what my plan was. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, and for budget something on here as well. Um, the grant is for $45,000, like that's where they cap out at, and you just have to be able to show like you can get the full $45,000 as long as you show on the budget that you have, like it's gonna cost at least that much, and especially for masters and things like that, often they'll be a little bit more. So like my budget for King's College London showed that the cost was going to be more than the grant of $45,000, and you just have to be able to justify like, yes, I have personal savings, or like I can take out a loan to cover the rest of it. I know it's a lot, but
Yeah, and I will say, we'll work with you on all of these elements. And when I say we, I mean the National Fellowships team, your Rotary group. And if you want to talk to Ryan one-on-one, we also have a Fellowship Ambassador coffee chat program. So our office will actually pay for you two to go out and get coffee and talk more about Rotary and Ryan's experience with the program. But we'll help you if you're having trouble like figuring out your budget. And you may find if you go to a place that maybe the cost of living is lower or the tuition is lower, that you may have trouble like getting to that 30,000. But like there have been times in the past, we had one person who went to South Africa, and like he was trying to like get as many costs in there as he could, but like he was still kind of under that budget. So we actually worked with him to have him travel throughout the region to different Rotary clubs. So it actually ended up being a benefit for him. So it really just depends on what you want to go, where you want to, like what you want to do. You do have to go somewhere that is in a country that has Rotary clubs, but that is most of the countries in the world. And I'll show you in a little bit about the Rotary website where you can find those clubs. You can actually look them up in advance and even start building those connections with the Rotary Club in your host country as you start to go through this application process. And also tell you what not to look at, because sometimes it's easy to get confused on the Rotary Global Grant because it can support multiple things. But for us, for District 7770, this is only for graduate level study 1 year internationally. So benefits of applying, and hopefully Ryan can back me up on this. Developing a relationship with a local Rotary club and being supported in your pursuit of higher education for the purposes of humanitarian service. Again, Rotary is all about service, about peace building. So these are really great connections to have. And a lot of the people who are involved with Rotary are leaders in the community. They are they hold political office, or they're business leaders, or they're educational leaders. So these are folks who are really dedicated to making their communities a great place to live. So if that is you, you can help develop relationships with these people. And also thinking about yourself and your goals as part of any fellowships process is going to help you reflect on and be able to clearly articulate your academic strengths, your career goals, and your graduate school choices. And that's something that we can help with as we talk through your plans. Is we'll help you to refine those and to be able to like lay them out clearly, like Ryan was saying. He's working with us and with his Rotary Club to really be super clear about what he wanted to do and why Rotary should help pay for it. Develop professional relationships with faculty, with community members. So when you're asking for his recommendation, having those kinds of conversations with your faculty about this is what I want to do, this is something that I could use your support with, and helping them to understand what you want to do. So building those professional relationships as well. Developing stronger interview skills. So that's, again, part of the whole like process of applying for Rotary, is developing the ability to have a professional networking event. I don't know if anyone's been to one of those before, but it is nigh on impossible to like hold food and a drink and have a like a cogent conversation at the same time. So it's a skill that you can learn. And we're actually gonna, I think, add in this year a practice reception, because I know folks, sometimes it was their first time being in that kind of a situation. And it, again, there's a lot to juggle physically and mentally. So we'll help you kind of to work on those skills, and also with interviewing, being able again to talk about your goals. So any other benefits that you found of applying, Ryan, or ones that you wanted to highlight?
The one thing that I would say is definitely that first day where you're in the like in the reception, like trying to talk to people. That's definitely, if you're not comfortable doing that, it's really hard. I personally kind of struggled with that, especially because like my personality, I'm not particularly great at small talk. Like I'm not like a like I'm not great at like striking up a conversation, not about nothing, but just like about whatever. So it's definitely
Mhm.
something that if you're not comfortable with, it's fine, but something to just, recognize and try to improve on. And definitely the the interview as well. I've had like plenty of interview experience, but it was kind of it's kind of weird interview because they don't really give you feedback during the interview. The way the interview works is that there's kind of a back and forth. We'll ask you questions and ask you follow-ups, but they don't really give off if that's like a positive answer, if it's a negative answer. They kind of just accept what you say and move on. So that was definitely a lot of things that I learned from that experience, especially that 2-day experience that I wasn't already prepared for.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not uncommon in the fellowships world, that people who are interviewing you are actually instructed not to give you any type of nonverbal feedback. And that can be kind of surprising, especially if it's your first time encountering that kind of stuff. So we can help you prepare for those opportunities as well. Other questions from folks in the room?
Yeah, so like for
Mhm.
Ryan, is the graduate program that you're going to be going to, is that a 1 year program, or do a lot of people, they, apply to a graduate program and then through the Rotary they just have their first year funded and then they complete the program on like their own dollar?
So like all the programs that I applied to all are 1-year programs, and actually I think all the other people that I was applying with as well were all 1-year
Mhm.
programs. I think especially like for the master's degrees abroad, the majority of them are like 1 year or like 16 months at most or 18 months at most. So like King's College London, which was what I pitched, is like September to September. Brussels School of Governance is another school that I applied to. That's October to October. I applied to Oxford as well. That's October to October. So they're 1 year, but they're not one school year, like August to May. They're all one calendar year, so September to September, October to October.
Got you, thank you. And then are there like any other like parts of like things that the Rotary grant is funding other than just the like tuition? Like it sounds like one of the main principles is like service and like all these other things. Like, are they
Mhm.
helping fund other opportunities like outside of just like the tuition for the graduate program?
Yes, so our district's Rotary Global Grant, that's where it can get a little bit confusing because if you go to the Rotary website, it says it funds a project or a degree. Our district only offers degree funding, but what they mean by that is you can pay for tuition, housing, if you're like your flight over there. So anything that's related to you going and being in that country, that would be eligible expenses for the Rotary Global Grant. Many well, I think all folks who receive the global grant get involved with their local Rotary Club, which involves a lot of volunteering, a lot of service work. Sometimes they'll work with their clubs on different projects, especially related to their area of focus. But there is an opportunity for service within that. But the primary objective of you applying for this global grant would be to get a master's degree that will help you move further on in one of these areas of focus. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, and like I said, Rotary is definitely not the only fellowship out there. So if you're looking at it, you're like, I'm not sure about this one, definitely come talk with our team because there are tons of other opportunities that offer similar benefits or something that's a little bit different. And many of our Rotary applicants are also applying for things like Fulbright, which funds a year of graduate study, research, or even English teaching or creative arts projects abroad, or Erasmus Mundus, which is a personal favorite of mine, which that one is a 2-year master's program in 2 or more European countries. That's one of my favorites. Lots of really cool interdisciplinary programs there, and then a bunch of other ones. But there are other programs that, again, can help you to do similar things, or if you want to try something a little bit more project oriented as well. Other questions?
I had a question.
Sure.
How would the process go? Like, let's say if you applied to a certain program and you didn't get in after your pitch, how flexible is it after you hypothetically receive the reward?
They're very flexible. We actually had someone who received an award to go to New Zealand, and the university was not getting back to her, not getting back to her, not getting back to her, and it was like months. And finally, like she ended up redoing her plan entirely and ending up in Australia. And they helped fund her program in Australia. And we had a similar case with someone who originally was going to go to Ghana, and then on further inspection, like it wasn't going to be a good fit, the program. And so he ended up switching to South Africa. So they're pretty flexible once they've awarded you. Again, it's all about relationship and communication with them. And one important note that I didn't say, so I know Ryan was talking about, oh, I was the Rotary grant winner for this year, but Ryan is still a student here. So you're actually applying, this one has a pretty far lead time in terms of application. So the application that is due on April 1st of 2025 is for a fall 2026 or later program start. The way that they plan their funding, they planned a year in advance for the next fiscal year. So that's why it's kind of seems so early, but you'll have a year to apply your program. If you need to find additional funding or apply for other fellowships, you can. Rotary can be combined with other fellowships. So if you have a couple, you can kind of put them together for more funding if needed. And so you'd be applying in April for a fall 2026 program start.
And just to talk about the flexibility there, just as
Mhm.
the one important thing is that it's in the same ballpark. So, like for me, I applied to like originally I pitched King's College London, but I might be pitching them that I want to go to Brussels School of Governance, but there are similar programs,
Mm.
and I have the same motivation to do both, except one might just end up being a better fit than the other. And especially with this district where it's all based on graduate study, they understand that a lot of like getting into this school versus that school is almost chance. So they're very flexible with that.
yeah, definitely don't change your entire proposal after you've been awarded. That probably won't go over too well. Um, Wonderful. Yeah, so we have had quite a few winners. So I just added a few folks here from 2013, 2018, then 2019 to present is the next slide. But you can see there are quite a few different sponsoring clubs. I think there are like a dozen different Rotary clubs just in the Columbia area alone. And so each of them can sponsor up to 2 applicants. So we have some that we've worked with for a long time, some of them that don't tend to sponsor applicants that we don't maybe have a stronger relationship with, but that means that like everyone who is in this room can apply for Rotary because we have enough nomination slots. So that's really good to know. And you can see they go to a variety of locations. Rotary is a great way to get to the UK because other awards like Marshall, like Rhodes, like Fulbright, the UK is very, very competitive because a lot of people want to go there because it's a great place to go and study all of these wonderful things. So we found that people who want to go to London, especially, or the UK, tend to have more success with something like Rotary because it's not the same type of competition. But you can see we have quite a few different areas, mostly disease prevention, peace and conflict. Cape Town is a really frequent flyer for Fulbright, not Fulbright, Rotary applicants, King's College. And then more recently, again, disease prevention, maternal child health, peace and conflict. So we've had a bunch of different kinds of programs that people are doing. They're all doing really interesting things. Oops, and now I'm frozen. Okay, there we go. So what is Rotary looking for in an applicant? So we're looking for leadership skills and potential. Again, they're all about developing community leaders. A proven record of success in your academic field or vocation. Rotary doesn't really have a GPA requirement. They're looking more for, have you done well in your academic field? So if you are doing like peace and conflict studies or international relations, things like that. If you took a statistics class and didn't do so hot, it's not going to tank your application. If you've been consistently getting lower grades in your degree program, that might be a conversation. So they're really looking to make sure, like, are you going to be successful in the field that you've chosen? A commitment to community service. So again, you will be expected to interact with and connect with the Rotary Club in your host location. And Rotary is about nothing else if not community service. So definitely having the opportunity to engage with folks, both in the US as you're preparing for this application and hopefully when you come back from your Rotary experience and in the host country as well. Well-defined and realistic goals. So again, a lot of these folks who are reviewing for Rotary, they do tend to be business-minded, they've worked in government, so they're very much like, okay, tell me, let's get down to brass tacks, tell me exactly what you want to do, like why it's important and why we should pay for it, sort of thing. So helping to kind of create that argument and being really well-versed in what you want to do and making sure that you're having realistic plans. Concrete ideas for advancing your goals within your chosen field. They're investing in you as a future leader. So how are you planning to be a leader within your field? What are some of the things you want to work on or work towards? Sincerity about maintaining a lifelong relationship with Rotary after the scholarship period. There's a Rotary Club basically, I don't know, you can't throw a stone without hitting a Rotary Club somewhere. So thinking about like, okay, is this a lifetime relationship I want to maintain, and really going out of your way to show that that is something that you are intending to do. And then a demonstrated commitment to measurable, sustainable change. They are not looking for people who are going to flash really bright and then burn out. They want people who are going to really engage in the work in a meaningful, thoughtful, and sustainable way. So you should demonstrate in your application how you might do that, that you've got kind of the resilience and the eye towards sustainability in whatever your specific area is. Oh, backwards timeline. I will say one of the things, let's put this in here. Okay, I'm going to address it now. So with Rotary, because it is so hyper local, for the Rotary Global Grant for District 7770, to apply, you do need to be enrolled in and attending a university that is within the district, which you are right now if you are a currently enrolled student, or if you are an alum. And you want to apply for this grant, you do need to be living within the District 770 kind of Columbia, southeastern half of South Carolina area. So just do know that. And if that's not you, we can explore some other options, but they do want you to have that local connection. So timeline. Right now you're talking with us, you're starting to do the exploration of what Rotary is, those focus areas. I will share with you all a link to a resource folder that you can access that has the focus areas, and it has different explanations of what each focus area is, what Rotary's goals are within those focus areas. And that can be something that, one, lets you know that you're on the right track with the focus area you've chosen, and also gives you kind of the language and the goals that you can use in your application to reflect like, okay, my interests and goals align with what Rotary's trying to do. Meet with us. So National Fellowships and Scholar Programs, you can schedule an appointment with us on Navigate. We're under involvement and engagement. And if you're an alum, you can go to calendly.com and then /hbretts, that's me. So you can talk to me about that. And then we can help you connect with a local Rotary club. Once you kind of get solidified, like, yes, I want to do Rotary, I'm doing this focus area. We actually help with the placement process. So we'll be reaching out to clubs saying, hey, we've got some wonderful people who want to affiliate with your club, and we can make introductions. In all honesty, I usually do pairings based on time and availability. So I'll ask a little survey question to see when you're available, and then we'll see when clubs are meeting. Usually Rotary clubs will meet around meal times. So we have some breakfast clubs that like to meet at like 7:30 in the morning, a lot of lunch clubs, and then Vista Nights, which is who Ryan applied through, they meet at 6 on Tuesdays. So we'll probably kind of pair you based on that. And each club has a little bit of different flavor, a little bit of a different vibe, different kinds of people that are a part of it. So we'll just do that matchmaking, see what fits. In February and March, you want to be drafting your materials. Once you connect with a Rotary Club, they will more than likely invite you to attend a meeting, and they will introduce you to their Rotary Club. They'll have you talk to people, and again, build those relationships. So that'll be a step towards securing a sponsorship or nomination from your club, which is basically them saying, yes, this is one of our 2 people we want to put forward for the district consideration. April 1 is going to be the deadline to submit your application to NFSP. So this year, and Ryan, you did a little bit different last year. So this is the process going forward, that you are going to submit your materials in their entirety, as polished as you can get them by April 1. And then we will share those with your club. If there are any final little details or things that the clubs want to work with you on, they'll have a little bit of a revision period, but you should submit your basically final drafts on April 1. We'll host a mock reception probably in April or May. And then, of course, you'll meet with Rotary, your Rotary Club, for application feedback and polishing. And then July 1 is when the application that you have plus the sponsorship form that the club fills out goes from the club to the district, and then they have all of the information. We have some additional resources for preparing for those one-on-one interviews that we'll share with you in July. And then August, I don't have the dates yet, but it will probably be the 1st and 2nd, or the 8th and 9th. I'm guessing the 1st and 2nd. Just know that those are going to be in person, and attendance is mandatory for you to be considered for the award. So there's no submitting your materials and then not coming to the interview. You have to do both. So if that's a concern, talk to us, but as soon as we know those dates, we will share them with you. All right, and again, we'll help you make a club connection. You can reach out to them, attend a Rotary meeting, learn what they require for sponsorship, So basically some clubs, it'll be a conversation. Some of them want to see your materials in full before they sponsor you. Some people may have more than 2 people interested in club sponsorship. So it'll vary a little bit depending on the club, but that'll be a conversation that you'll have with the individual representative that you get in contact with. And then work with Club Mentor on your submission. So again, there have been a lot of clubs that we've worked with over the years. These are the ones that are kind of our frequent flyer clubs that folks have worked with. And I know I mentioned being able to find, can you see the website I just navigated to? Okay, cool. So this is the District 7770 Rotary Club page where you can actually see, okay, where are these people meeting? When are they meeting? We have a list, so you don't need to necessarily go through all of this. But if you're like, oh, when does the KC West Columbia group meet? First and third Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. Again, usually morning, noon, and evening are the most common times. I think Vista Nights is the only one I know of that doesn't meet at a meal time or doesn't include some sort of meal. And if you're really excited, you can even meet Tuesdays at 6 a.m. So if you're an early bird, this is for you. So again, we'll help you pair with a club and you can start getting involved with that. Okay. Back to my PowerPoint that's not loading. Okay. Well, while I wait for that to load, I will show you where you can find Club Finder. So if you go to rotary.org, you can go to the Club Finder feature. And then that's where you can look up Rotary clubs that are in your host country. So say, for example, you wanted to go to, I don't know, Uganda popped up. So say you want to go to Uganda, there are a number of clubs there. So you can already be looking and seeing like, oh, if I'm going to, I can't see the name of the city. But you can already start looking at the different clubs, and they usually will also have contacts here, or they'll link out to the website. So you can go ahead and start exploring, okay, who's in my region? What kinds of things are they doing? Are they in English or my target language? When do they meet? All sorts of stuff. So that'll give you a good way to start. So, okay, how to get started. There we go. All right, so I will send the link to the resource folder, and that's where you can review the focus areas. The copy of the application is in there. There's a timeline to help keep you on track for what you need to do when. So review the focus areas. If you haven't already completing a candidate profile, which basically puts you in NFSP's database so that we can put notes and we can tag you for different competitions so that we have records of what we've talked about. Schedule a meeting either through Navigate or my Calendly link, which is /hbretts. And I will be sharing the recording and the slides. So if you're furiously taking notes, we will share this. Narrow down your country and your program. So one thing that's important to know, I think Ryan touched on it a little bit, is that you're applying for Rotary for funding, but you also have to apply to whatever university you want to go to for admission. Rotary is not gonna, they aren't a university, they're not gonna admit you anywhere. So you have to do kind of 2 application processes, one for the funding, one for the actual university. But you want to narrow down your country and your program. You should have at least a country in mind and kind of a focus area in mind before we introduce you to a club, so that way you can have a substantive conversation with them. And we'll help you connect with a local Rotary club and attend a meeting of theirs, and then prepare your submission, get it to us by April 1, and in August have those interviews and find out. All right. So what questions do you all still have?
I have two questions. The first is, where does the graduate program application fall into the Rotary timeline? Is that like,
Mm,
I assume it's
Yes.
afterwards, but like how long
Yes, it
after, I
is
guess?
after. So you'll be applying again, this is for a 2026 program start. So you will submit your Rotary application in April of this year, so 2025. Most of the applications for graduate schools don't open until the fall of 2025. So you'll know you'll have gone through the interview process, you'll have been notified of the grant results by the time you have to start applying. So you'll know if you have it or not. And then you'll apply in fall of
Okay.
2025, early spring for a fall 2026 program start.
Gotcha. And do you have like recommendations on the best way to like research graduate programs that exist? Like you're trying to find like a program that
Yeah.
matches like whatever that interest you have, like one of those seven things. Like what's the best way to go out and search for that program that like
Yeah.
fits your application, I guess?
So,
Mhm. Well,
what
Ryan, would you like to take this one?
Yeah. Yeah, so I just like happened upon it, but if you like type in hold on, I'll actually do it right now. If you type in like master's programs, uh just like into your search bar, there comes up to this website, and the website is literally just here it is. It's mastersstudies.com. And it sounds like a generic thing, but masterstudies.com is how I found my programs. So like there's this giant filter bar on the left side, like once you start searching, and you can narrow down like what are you looking for. So you're looking for a master's degree. How long do you want it to be? What languages is it taught in? Like what's the areas of study? What country do you want it in, or like what region do you want it in? And so like I would start there, and they just pump out so many different things, and a lot of times they don't have like the best information onto exactly what that program is, but just the name of the program and the school is like 95% of the work, because then you can just go find the school, find the program, and then it has all the information there. So masterstudies.com is like, it sounds like a generic thing, but that's what I use to be able to find all my programs.
Yeah, and I would also recommend, I don't know what your field is that you're interested in, Jake, but talking to your faculty in your field and figuring out like, okay, did they know of like really prominent schools or prominent programs that might be a good fit for you? Do they have colleagues at different institutions where you might be able to like connect with them for master's thesis research or to get more information? So using your networks. And also, I'm a big fan of like kind of reverse engineering your path. So finding someone on LinkedIn who has your dream job and see where they went to school.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions? Well, I think we are finished a little bit early. I'm going to go ahead and put this slide back up. So if you are able to, please complete your, whoop, got to click off of it. Nope, nope. Anyways, sorry about that. There we go. All right, your candidate profile. So again, this is what's going to put you into our system. Then we'll tag you for Rotary. We'll make sure we have any notes about your interests. And again, that just keeps us in, helps us keep in touch. There's my contact information. Feel free to email me. And again, you can find me on Navigate or on Calendly for an appointment. Cool. And just out of curiosity, what focus area are y'all most interested in? Probably could have started with that question.
I'm interested in like healthcare/healthcare education, maybe.
Okay, perfect.
Was
Yeah,
looking at
like go ahead.
Oh,
I'll go last. I've been talking too much.
I was looking at the maternal and child care and also disease prevention.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like healthcare too, disease prevention, and like it's anything like neuroscience or mental health focus as well would be cool.
Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, we've had a lot of folks do healthcare related programs. Usually it's, I think for our purposes, like historically, it's been disease prevention, maternal child health, and peace and conflict studies. So great to see that we're continuing that proud tradition. All right. Well, I think that is all I have for you all. I'm happy to hang out and answer additional questions. But basically, what your next steps will be are to, again, get in touch with, no, why does that? To review the focus areas and eligibility requirements, I'll send you all that document and connecting with our team to get started. The earlier you get started, the better, because again, forming relationships with Rotary is going to take time. Trying to schedule when you're going to attend a meeting takes time. All of that time is the best gift you can give yourself. So the earlier you start, the better. Yeah. Ryan, any last pieces of advice you want to share?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that made my application like what it was, like being able to like I'm sure you guys all have that feeling, like even with like a school project, like if you have a paper, like when you spend so much time working on it and like you sit down and like this is the best thing that I could have done in this situation. Starting early lets you do that. I mean, the amount of help that I had from like Heidi as well as from my the people at my Rotary was so much. So like I started, just like how you write anything, you just like start like typing stuff out. And then I would send like pieces of it to Heidi, and we would go like back and forth for weeks and weeks. And then after that, I started sending it to the like once I thought it was like good, then I would send it to my like my club, and then we send it back and forth for like a week or two, just like making adjustments, making this better, changing this, changing that. And so starting early will like provide you guys the time to do that. And don't think that you have to get it done by next weekend, because I mean you can ask Heidi, but especially at the very beginning, the things that I was sending her were nowhere close to like what I had originally. And also there was nowhere near full things. Like I would have like it would be like 500 word cap, and I would have a couple hundred words, and I would just send it to her and be like, I don't know if this is the right direction I'm going, and I don't know what else to write. Like, what should I do? And that's like a lot of what the process is. And like starting early lets you be able to have that development time.
Yeah, the best gift you can give yourself when you're doing anything with writing is time. So yeah. Yeah, and like that's one of the things, like when you're going through some of these fellowship processes, it's really good to be open to feedback, because like you're gonna get a lot of feedback from our office, from your Rotary people, from your mom. I don't know, whoever reads your application, they're gonna give you feedback, and sometimes you might get conflicting feedback. I don't know if you ever had that, Ryan, where people were telling you to do the exact opposite thing. But it's also important to be able to kind of know what you want to put on the page as well, and know that you're the final author. So you get to kind of decide whose advice you want to take or not. And Rotary, one of the kind of pitfalls of the application is that it can get kind of repetitive. The way that the questions are worded, they kind of ask you the same thing about 3 or 4 different ways. I don't think that's intentional, but it's how the application is. So that's something else we can help with, is kind of figuring out, okay, where do I put what so that I'm not just repeating myself for 4 questions. Yeah. And I did just put the resource link in the chat, and I will also send that out with the wrap up email along with this recording, copies of the slides. But that should be everything you need to get started. It has the policy statements, it has a timeline, and it has the actual application that you can download and go ahead and start looking at those different pieces of information.
Thank you guys so much for sharing all these resources.
You're welcome. Yeah, we're excited to work with you. And it was good to see such a nice little crowd here for the Rotary Workshop. Tell your friends if you think they would be good fits for the award too. Yeah, and that's another thing, like, even though you're like in competition with each other, like we do try and make it a more collegial experience. I don't know, Ryan, if you wanted to talk about that, but it's kind of interesting because like you have other USC people that like only one of you is going to get the grant, but it doesn't feel like super like adversarial, at least not from my end. I don't know if Ryan, you have had a secret struggle with
No,
other
no,
USC
it wasn't that.
folks.
It wasn't like an
Yeah,
awkward competition or anything. I mean, especially because like Rotary is so big on like being I don't kind of like being a real human being, you know what I mean? Like being like a normal person that can communicate and also like even so like there were from our district, like seven from our district, we had two people like myself and another girl, um, who I think she wants to go study at Oxford. But even like
yeah,
after
you
that, I was
both
like
wanted to
me
go
and
to the
her,
UK.
yeah, me and her were able to like sit down and have lunch like a month after we both got the award, and it was like a cool experience, like being able to talk about
Yeah, that's awesome. I know last year it was exciting to get two awards because usually it's one. But we usually have anywhere between 8 and 20 applicants per year. It really varies based on the year. But I mean, if you look at other kind of competitions, like it's actually pretty, 1 in 8 is a pretty great chance in terms of competitiveness. So again, and a lot of the value is in the process and really being able to drill down to what your goals are and how to articulate those. And that's a skill that you can use in job interviews, in applying for grad schools, other fellowships. Those skills, that time is never going to be wasted. But I've drunk the Kool-Aid, so I think that, but hopefully Ryan can back me up on that. All right. Awesome. Well, I hope to hear from you all soon to schedule appointments to start on the process. But feel free to send any emails. Like I said, you can take Ryan out for coffee if you go to our website, the Fellowship Ambassador section. Actually, you can apply to go out for coffee together. And there are also folks who are representing other awards. So if you're interested in, say, I don't know, studying abroad or the environment, you can, or public health, you can reach out to folks on the website to get more information and more free coffee from them. All right, wonderful. Well, thank you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.